An insane rescue, soldier lying dying in woods at 3 a.m. Until two girls show up to save him, darkness wrapped the woods like a thick blanket, swallowing every trace of moonlight as the howling wind twisted through the trees. It was 3 a.m., and the chilling silence held a heavy secret. Amidst the gnarled roots and rustling leaves, a soldier lay, breath shallow, heart racing, his body battered and broken from an unseen battle. Blood pooled beneath him, the deep red stark against the damp earth, an ominous reminder of his fight for survival. The world felt cold and distant, like shadows playing tricks on his fading consciousness, but then, something shifted. From the shadows, two figures emerged, silhouettes gliding through the darkness, their eyes glinting like stars in the obsidian night. They were girls, perhaps barely out of their teens, but their poise suggested they were more than meets the eye. One had a defiant look, a fierce determination etched on her face. The other moved swiftly with an urgency that seemed to defy the eerie stillness surrounding them. How had they found him? What force in the universe had guided them to this isolated spot, at this untimely hour? As they knelt beside the soldier, the air vibrated with tension. They whispered hurriedly, words tumbling out, frantic yet fluid like water rushing over rocks. One girl pressed her hands against the soldier's wound, her face pale but fierce. The other scanned the horizon, eyes darting, alert for danger that lurked just beyond the shadows. There was a power in their presence, a connection that held a secret no one dared to ponder yet. Could they really save him, or would they fall prey to whatever darkness haunted the woods? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The soldier's eyes fluttered as he grasped at consciousness, the world around him fading in and out like a TV static. He barely registered the panic in their voices, or the way they looked at him as if he were more than just a man bleeding on the forest floor. The two girls leaned in closer, their breath a warm gust against his skin, the urgency intoxicating. He could almost taste hope. But as the chilling wind picked up again, swirling leaves in a frenzied dance, an unshakable doubt began to seep into his thoughts. What would happen when the sun broke through the horizon? And what secrets lurked in the silent woods, waiting to unveil themselves just when they thought they were safe? The soldier's vision flickered like a dying light bulb. The whispers of the girls filled his ears, urgent and desperate, pulling him from the darkness that threatened to consume him entirely. Just beyond them, shadows writhed and danced, and a sinister feeling crept into his bones. Stay with us. Stay focused, the one with the fierce determination urged, her hands pressing down harder over the wound. A rush of adrenaline pierced through his pain, albeit momentarily. The dread of death loomed large, heavy like a storm cloud ready to break. Hold on, the other girl pleaded, her voice tinged with fear as she kept watch, scanning the night. Every rustle intensified the air's tension, and dread pooled around them like the blood spreading beneath the soldier. Suddenly, a low growl echoed through the trees, sending a tremor through the ground beneath them. The girls froze, glancing at each other, eyes wide, knowing instinctively that they were not alone. Did you hear that? The fierce girl whispered, her tone shifting from hopeful to fearful in an instant. I did, but we can't stop now. The other girl replied, her voice steely yet wavering. She returned her gaze to the soldier, who was slipping in and out of consciousness. He could barely hear them as darkness threatened to engulf him again, but through the haze, he grasped a fleeting image of a figure lurking among the trees. It was just a shadow, but in the depths of fear, shadows took on life, eyes burning like embers, watching, waiting. What is out there? The soldier managed to croak, but the question hung eternal as another growl cracked through the night, closer this time. Just keep your eyes on us. urged the defiant girl, her voice cracking under the strain. The urgency changed, it was no longer just about saving him but about keeping everyone alive. Help is on the way. The lie hung in the air like a bitter taste. They all knew they were alone in this cold, malevolent place. Suddenly, Barbara the fierce one looked towards the tree-line, her breath hitched as a shape began to emerge, stepping out of the shadows. It was tall, moving with a deliberate grace, draped in darkness that left behind a cold dread. The soldier's heart lodged in his throat as the figure stepped into what little light there was, revealing sharp features and eyes that glowed like ghostly orbs. "It's time to go," she whispered, her courage wavering. The girls shared a fleeting moment of determination, their fingers brushing against the soldier's own in a desperate bid for connectivity amidst the chaos. But before they could react, the darkness moved swiftly, like a predator sensing wounded prey. A cold wind swept through the clearing, rustling branches and filling the air with an eerie anticipation. They had reached a point of no return. "What do we do?" The quiet girl's voice trembled under the strain of a future that felt increasingly uncertain. It was a search for answers amidst a storm threatening to swallow them whole. They needed to act, and fast. But in the looming shade of the trees, confusion twisted into terror with every heartbeat. As the figure drew nearer, the soldier's instincts flared. Somehow, he knew this was never just about saving him. The woods held secrets, and they were all players in a game they did not understand yet. "Run!" He managed to scream, a shocking urgency striking through him like lightning. The moment hung in the air pregnant with dread, and as they all turned towards their escape, one chilling realization seized them: whatever hunted in those woods hunted for more than just flesh. It hunted for fear, and they were its next targets, what waited just beyond the reach of the trees. Would they be able to escape the clutches of whatever evil stalked them? Adrenaline surged as the soldier forced himself to stand, but the pain clawed at him, pulling him back down. We need to go," he panted, each word loaded with urgency. The sky above them was a deep ink, a canopy of despair overshadowing the little light they had. The fierce girl grabbed the soldier under one arm, supporting him with determination, while the quiet girl took his other side, wrapping her arm around his waist. With their hearts racing, they stumbled away from the encroaching darkness. The growl echoed again, rumbling from within the shadows, close enough to feel in their bones. "Move!" Barbara shouted, her voice fierce, cutting through the fear like a knife. The trio started towards the forest's edge, where the trees hung like ominous sentinels, every rustle and snap sending horror spiraling through them. "Don't look back," the quiet girl whispered, but every instinct screamed to glance behind them. What was hunting them? What lurked just out of sight? With every step, the shadows seemed to twist, elongate, as if alive, stretching themselves towards the fleeing humans. They burst through the last line of trees, feeling the full weight of the open field against them, the moon overhead casting an eerie glow, illuminating the path ahead. But it wasn't over. The growl morphed into a sickening series of snarls, sounding almost like laughter. "Faster!" The soldier gasped, his legs trembling beneath him. Pain exploded in his side, but he couldn't afford to falter now. Suddenly, the quiet girl tripped, falling hard against the ground, and the soldier felt a jolt of panic. "No!" he shouted. Barbara hesitated, her grip slipping from the soldier as she turned back. "Get up!" she cried. Adrenaline pulsed through him, dulling the agony as he fought against the darkness threatening both the girls and himself. "Leave me. I can't keep going." "Don't say that," she yelled back, eyes locked onto his. The moment stretched before them, fear, desperation, and an unyielding bond tying them together. The quiet girl scrambled to her feet, urgency igniting a new spark in her. "We can't leave anyone. Let us go." Together they pulled him forward as the shadows converged, the low growl now an unbearable cacophony, close, so close. Then they heard it break. A rush of wind surged through, bringing the scent of damp earth and haunting whispers that clawed at the edges of their minds. There, in the distance, flickering like a fragile flame, they spotted a light. The flicker was both a beacon and a mirage, a shimmering promise amidst the encroaching darkness. "Look!" The fierce girl pointed, devoid of doubt now. "We can make it." As they pushed towards that elusive light, desperation seeped through the air, the monstrous growl morphing into a chorus of howls, filling them with dread. With every step closer to the light, the shadows blinked and swirled like a malevolent sea, crashing down upon them. The soldier's heart thundered in his chest as the silhouettes behind them began to dissolve into forms, revealing the horrors lurking beneath the surface. Pale faces, ghastly grins, and glowing eyes that mocked their plight. They were closing in. "Go!" The soldier cried out, determination providing a momentary strength. Together they surged forward, fueled by sheer will and a glimmer of hope that remained just out of reach, that flickering light promising sanctuary and safety. Would they reach it? Or would the darkness consume them whole? As they ran, the realization was almost suffocating. They weren't just fleeing monsters, they were running from a fate crafted by secrets now clawing back to claim them. The choice was coming, and none of them even knew it yet. What awaited them at the end of that blinding light? Would it be their salvation or damnation? They raced toward the light, hearts pounding, breathless. The soldier could feel the harsh grip of panic tightening around his throat, but as he leaned on the two girls, he willed himself to keep moving. Every push forward felt like a desperate gamble, but what choice did they have? The flickering light grew larger, revealing that it came from a cabin that appeared only moments ago, standing defiantly amid the vast darkness. Relieved, Barbara called out, "We're almost there." But just then, the ground trembled beneath them. Thick shadows flared up, twisting, contorting into monstrous shapes. The snarls from behind morphed into a terrifying crescendo, a promise of doom. "Keep going," he bellowed, desperation surfacing in his voice. "Don't stop." They sprinted towards the cabin, but as they did, the shadows surged forth, tendrils reaching for them, hungry and insatiable. Reflexes kicked in, weaving and dodging, they crashed through the doors, tumbling into the dim interior, slamming it shut behind them. "Did we make it?" The quiet girl gasped, leaning against the wall, her eyes wide and glassy with fear. The soldier grasped his side, pain surging anew as if the shadows were clinging to him still. Not yet. A silence swallowed them, heavy and oppressive. They stood, panting, surrounded by darkness, the crackling of the fire in the corner the only sound breaking the tense hush. Barbara darted to the window, peering out into the night, dread settling into her stomach. "They're out there," she breathed, fear stripping the strength from her voice. Suddenly, the door creaked ominously, like a sinister laugh echoing in their ears. They turned as shadows slithered beneath the doorframe, creeping into the cabin, burning the air with their chilling presence. The cabin's walls felt like they were closing in, trembling in response to the looming threat. "Something's out there," the quiet girl whispered, eyes darting around in panic. "Get away from the windows," the soldier commanded, pushing himself to stand taller, fighting against the pain that threatened to down him. "We need to find a weapon." Or without warning, the door burst open, flinging debris into the room. The flickering light of the fire illuminated the outline of a creature, a grotesque amalgamation of horrors, echoes of what they had fled. Only now, they were inside, and the light felt feeble against the encroaching darkness. The soldier felt the hard edge of determination. "We have to fight." Barbara's eyes flashed with defiance, driven by fear. "We can't just stand here. We need to find a way out." In that moment, a glimmer caught their eyes. Across the room, an old axe hung crooked in the wall, rusted but still sharp. "There!" he shouted, his voice rising above the chaos swirling in their minds. The quiet girl nodded, moving toward it quickly, but just as she reached for the axe, a chilling howl sounded from outside. A chorus of laughter erupted from the shadows beyond, mocking them. The shadows wavered, their forms twisting into abominable figures, surrounding the cabin, circling like vultures waiting for the kill. "Get it! We can't wait!" the soldier urged, panic now tightening like a vice around his heart. As she grasped the axe, the atmosphere shifted, tension coiling tightly around them. It was a moment of fragile hope, yet the surrounding growls spoke of impending doom. What were they preparing to confront? Would their fight drive away the darkness or seal their fate? The moment hung heavy, thick with uncertainty, and then, the door burst open again, revealing a wave of shadows rushing in, eyes gleaming with hunger. The shadows spilled into the cabin, a swirling mass of teeth and claws, scrabbling for entry as the door splintered under their relentless assault. The soldier's heart raced as he pulled Barbara and the quiet girl closer. They braced themselves, fear surging through them like ice water. "Stay together," he shouted, his voice barely rising above the cacophony. The flickering fire cast jittery shapes that made the monsters in the gloom seem even more menacing. With every howl from the outside, the cabin shuddered, as if it too trembled in fear. The quiet girl raised the axe, her hands shaking. "What do we do?" "Defend ourselves," he barked. "We have to keep them out." Though raw panic clung to him, a flicker of resolve ignited deep within. He scanned the room, searching for anything that might give them an edge. The heavy wooden table could be used as a barricade. "Help me with this." As they pushed the table against the door, the shadows crashed into it with a bone-rattling force. The wood creaked and groaned, splintering at the edges. They strained against its weight, adrenaline masking every ache in his tortured body. "Move faster," Barbara urged, her voice breaking with fear. A deafening roar from outside broke the fragile wall of quiet, a sound that sent primal dread crawling up their spines. The soldier risked a quick glance out the window, blinding light flooding in as he caught sight of rotting, twisted faces contorted with hunger. For a moment, he forgot about the pain in his side, and pure terror swept him away. "Get back!" he yelled, turning away as the door buckled again. With a gut-wrenching crack, the table splintered at the base, and the door flew open, sending the soldier sprawling backward. He felt the sharp jab of pain flare in his side. The shadows surged into the cabin like a living tidal wave, a cacophony of growls, ululations, and the stench of decay surrounding them. The soldier pushed himself to his feet, fury fueling his movement. "Fight back!" Barbara swung the axe, narrowly missing the gnarled limbs that grasped for them. The quiet girl joined in, her blows fueled by fear but tinged with determination. In that moment, they transformed from terrified victims to fighters, their resolve hardening with every swing, but there were too many. Each strike felt desperate, the sound of metal meeting flesh echoing in the confines of the cabin. The soldier felt darkness creeping in around the edges of his vision, each breath becoming a struggle. A disquieting thought settled with chilling certainty: this could be the end. Suddenly, time shifted as a shadow lunged at him. He barely dodged, its sharp claws grazing his arm. Seizing a nearby chair, he swung it wildly, pinning the creature momentarily. "We can't let them overwhelm us." Then, as if responding to his desperate plea, the cabin's walls shuddered. The fire flickered and flared, and then a gust of wind rushed through the open door, pushing back against the oncoming shadows. The soldier felt the shift, a flicker of hope igniting within him. "Together!" he shouted, rallying the girls, their determination flaring stronger even amidst the chaos. "Let us push them back." They struck in unison, the soldier whirling the chair again, the girls matching him blow for blow. For those few moments, they were a unit, a force against the darkness. But the shadows kept pouring in, tendrils dragging across the floor, seeking to swallow them whole, and just as they thought they might gain ground, a chilling voice echoed from the depths of the shadows. "You think you can fight us?" This is just the beginning. An even larger figure loomed at the doorway, its eyes glowing with a menacing hunger. Panic gripped him anew. "What now?" he cried out, heart pounding like a war drum. As the shadow loomed closer, questions filled the air. Was there a way out, or was this the end? The soldier's grip tightened around the chair, his mind racing. They had to make a choice, but time was running out. What would it be? The soldier's heart raced as the looming shadow filled the cabin's doorway, its grotesque form writhing as if it were pure darkness given flesh. He felt the instinctive chill of fear creeping into his bones, but the girls beside him looked just as terrified. Desperation surged through him. This was their moment. Back to the fire! He shouted, darting toward the flickering glow, driven by the primal urge to hold their ground. The heat from the flames leapt up to meet them, casting an orange hue over their pale faces. Barbara stumbled, her breath quickening as she swung the axe again, this time striking true. The sound of metal biting into flesh reverberated through the cabin, but the creature shrieked a cacophony of anguish and fury that made the hairs on the back of their necks stand up. "Keep moving!" the soldier cried, grabbing Barbara's shoulder. He pointed to a window cracked open at the opposite end of the room. If they could reach it, maybe just maybe there was a chance to escape. Without waiting for a reply, he dashed toward the window, dodging a claw that swiped at his side. He felt a searing pain as it narrowly missed his ribs. Panic flared, but he pushed through it, the urgency overshadowing the stinging ache. "Help me!" he yelled to the quiet girl who defrozen in fear. She blinked, her eyes wide yet resolute. Before long, she joined him, the axe nearly slipping from her grasp. They heaved on the window frame, forcing it open wider. The outside world stared back, dark and ominous, but at least it was an option. "Barbara, come on." He glanced back just in time to see the large shadow looming over the remaining cabin entrance. A twisted smile stretched across its gnarled face. "You can't escape," it hissed, a sound more felt than heard. The soldier gritted his teeth, feeling every ounce of self-preservation igniting within him. "Hurry!" Barbara shouted, climbing through the window. The quiet girl followed, but not before glancing back nervously. As the soldier prepared to leap onto the ledge, the monstrous figure surged forward. Time slowed, he caught a glimpse of teeth sharper than knives and soulless eyes blazing in fury. A roar erupted, louder than anything he had ever heard, and he jumped without thinking, diving headfirst through the window. The rough grass met him with a painful thud. He quickly scrambled to his feet, eyes darting around for the girls. "You're okay," he called out, breathless. But a scream pierced the night. Barbara's voice, raw with panic. The soldier's heart dropped as he spun around towards the sound. She was still inside, grappling against the creature, trapped in its dark embrace. He felt a wave of anger surge through him, fueling his next steps. Without a moment's hesitation, he rushed back to the window, determined to save her. "What are you doing?" the quiet girl screamed, grabbing his arm. "You'll get yourself killed. It's her life." He shouted back, adrenaline coursing through him. But as he steeled himself, something strange happened. The flickering flames from the cabin began to stutter and die out. Darkness thickened around them, a heavy weight that spilled from the cabin like a malevolent fog. "Barbara!" he yelled again, panic threading through him. The once fierce howl of wind turned soft and eerie, drowning out his cries. In that instant, the soldier knew something was changing. The shadows under the window began to stretch and swell, an undulating mass that beckoned him back. Suddenly, from the depths of that darkness, he saw a glint shining through a gleaming whisper of light that he felt he had to reach. Was it hope or a trap? With heart pounding and mind racing, he turned back to the girls, voice steady despite the chaos. "We have to go now. Or we'll lose her." From the cabin, another horrific roar echoed, accompanied by the sound of something breaking. Something precious was slipping away. And as they prepared to run, a chilling laugh reverberated from within, confidence laced with malice. "You think you can save her? You don't even know what you're facing." The soldier's breath hitched as they fled, not just from the creature, but from what lay ahead, a darkness that carried with it unanswered questions. Could they find Barbara and escape the darkness, or would they be consumed by it themselves? The battle wasn't over, and the nightmare was only beginning. The chill of the night air bit through the soldier's uniform as they stumbled through the underbrush, hearts racing like wild horses. He looked back at the cabin, the flames now reduced to pale flickers. Darkness closed around him, whispering threats and secrets he did not want to hear, clawing at his sanity. "We can't leave her," he urged, his voice taut with despair. The quiet girl, whose name he still did not know, pulled him back. "We don't even know what we're dealing with. If we go back and we don't have time to argue," he snarled, frustration boiling over. Somewhere entwined in the shadows was Barbara. He could still feel the echo of her scream, piercing his heart. Every moment spent in that cabin made it worse, the darkness eating away at his resolve, but as they stumbled deeper into the woods, the shadows followed them. It felt as if the trees shifted, leaning in, eager to trap them in a claustrophobic grasp. He could almost sense the creature lurking behind them, watching, waiting for the right moment to pounce. "Look!" The quiet girl pointed ahead, her finger trembling. A pale flicker of light emerged, pulsating like a heartbeat. It danced just beyond the trees, beckoning with an almost magnetic pull. "Hope," he whispered, a thread of warmth piercing the gloom, or another trap waiting to ensnare them. "Should we? Whatever it is, it might lead us to Barbara." The girl's eyes brimmed with determination. She pushed forward, and against his better judgment, he followed. They stumbled toward the light, branches snagging at their clothes, whispering unsettling truths. The world felt wrong, every rustle making his skin crawl. The flicker grew, casting ghostly shapes amongst the trees. As they neared, he saw it was a lantern, old and rusted, sputtering as if it had been left behind by time itself. But it held no comfort. Instead, it painted the surrounding trees with grotesque shadows that danced on the edges of his vision. He reached for the lantern, feeling the weight of its rusted metal in his hand. As he raised it, the light grew slightly brighter, casting away some of the murky anxiety lingering behind them. But the shadows did not recede, they curled closer, creeping along the forest floor, hungry for warmth. "Do you feel that?" the girl whispered. A heavy silence wrapped around them, thicker now. It pressed, like the cold sweat of fear pooling beneath their skin. Before he could answer, a loud crash split the air. A tree fell nearby, uprooted in an explosive roar. They both jumped, hearts pounding in their chests. The ground shook, startling leaves falling like frightened birds. And then came freedom, a sudden path opening before them, free from twisted roots and branches, leading straight to the heart of the forest. That flickering light above shimmered with hope, the promise of rescue. But the moment felt fragile, like glass teetering on the edge of breaking. As they raced along the path, the soldier's mind swirled. What if they were running toward danger instead? "Wait!" he shouted, grabbing her arm. "What if this is a distraction? What if we're being led into a trap?" "I want to let you lose hope," she said, her voice fierce. "Barbara wouldn't want that." But for every word she spoke, it felt like the shadows pressed harder, swirling closer. From the depths of the darkness, a low chuckle echoed, a sound that wrapped around them like a haunting melody. Too late to second-guess, it whispered, resonating deeply within them, filling the soldier with a dread that made his skin crawl. Instinct told him to run, to flee into the night. But with every step toward the light, doubt slithered into his mind. Was Barbara ahead waiting, or was it a guise masking something far more sinister? And as they pressed on, the ground below shifted, a gasp rising to the surface of terror. Was the forest a friend, or was it simply another dark pocket of the creature lurking, waiting to claim them? The answer lay ahead, flickering like the lantern in his hand, but uncertainty loomed larger with every passing moment. What awaited them on this twisted path? The lantern's light wobbled, casting erratic shadows against the gnarled bark of the trees. Each flicker felt like a heartbeat, pulsing with both promise and peril. Sweat trickled down the soldier's back as he tightened his grip on the cold metal. "Keep moving," he urged, the urgency radiating from his voice, pushing the girl onward. But doubt clawed at him, every instinct screamed for caution. The shadows danced like specters, swirling with a life of their own. As they advanced, the flickering light brightened, revealing the outline of an old stone archway up ahead. Covered by vines, it stood there like a gateway to another world or perhaps a prison. The soldier's pulse quickened. "What is that?" he rasped. "I don't know, but it might lead us to Barbara," she replied, her eyes shining with a determination that barely masked her fear. They hesitated briefly, exchanging a glance filled with unspoken dread. The forest was alive with sounds, the creaking of branches, the rustle of leaves, and that ominous chuckle echoing in the distance, teasing them. "Do you think," the soldier began, but the girl interrupted, her voice firm. "We can't second-guess ourselves. She needs us." Summoning every ounce of courage, he stepped forward, the cold night air wrapping around them like a shroud. As they approached the archway, the lantern flared unexpectedly. The sudden brilliance illuminated the area ahead, revealing a narrow path that twisted through the thick underbrush. "Look!" the girl gasped, pointing into the darkness beyond the arch. A figure loomed, a movement that sent chills down their spines. Was it a mirage conjured by fear? Or had they stumbled upon something real? "Barbara?" he called, his voice trembling as he squinted into the shadows, hoping against hope. But instead of sweet familiarity, he saw a girl, one who looked ghastly pale, eyes sunken and wild with fear. "Run!" the girl screamed, a raw terror seeping into her words as she grabbed his arm. The specter, the girl with hollow eyes, extended a hand grasping for them, her mouth opening wide in a silent scream. With adrenaline fueling them, they turned abruptly, sprinting back toward the safety of the archway. But the ground shifted beneath their feet. Roots and vines erupted from the earth, snatching at their heels like skeletal hands ready to pull them down into darkness. "No! No!" he gasped, desperation clawing at him. The soldier stumbled, pulling the girl along as they desperately pushed forward. Suddenly, the echoing chuckle returned. "You thought you'd escape?" it taunted, rippling through the air like a cold wind. Panic surged within, blurring their thoughts. He needed to think, to plan. Ahead, the path forked. One way spiraled deeper into the underbrush, hints of eerie whispers curling from the darkness. The other led back toward the archway, illuminated faintly by the lantern's trembling light. Which way would lead them to Barbara? Or was it all a path to doom? Which way? The girl's voice quavered, though determination clung to her words like a lifeline. "Do we take a chance or retreat?" he pondered aloud, fear pooling in his chest, uncertainty suffocating. Either could be a trap. The girl looked into his eyes, searching for answers. "We have to choose, now. No more waiting." Searing doubt cut through the soldier's heart. They had to act, to believe in something, anything. He felt the weight of the moment collapsing, and then he sensed it, the darkness swirling tighter around them. Shadowy figures, hissing with fury, crept closer, closing off their escape routes. "Now or never!" he shouted, his voice breaking as he felt fear sweeping over him like a tidal wave. With a breath and a prayer, they dashed down the left path, racing toward whatever awaited them in the shadows. The lantern flickered violently, the shadows deepening. What lay ahead? Was it salvation or something far worse? Suddenly, the bushes rustled close behind them, a heavy presence trailing, breathing down their necks. Would they find Barbara before it was too late, or was death eager to claim another victim in the haunted woods? The darkness swallowed them whole as they raced deeper down the twisted path. The sounds of the forest melded into a cacophony of whispers and rustling leaves, each noise fueling the fire of panic in the soldier's chest. He gripped the lantern tighter, its feeble light flickering as if it too was caught in their frenzied escape. "Faster!" the girl urged, her voice breaking through the haze of fear. The dense underbrush seemed to close in around them, clawing at their clothes, tugging at their limbs as if the very forest fought against their flight. "What if we can't find her?" he gasped, exertion stealing his breath. "What if stop?" She turned, eyes wide. "Think about Barbara. We have to push through." Her fierce determination stoked a fire deep inside him, igniting hope against the fear. They were here for her. They had to be, but in that moment of shared resolve, the shadows around them thickened, swirling with a life of their own. A laugh cold and sinister echoed through the trees. Such bravery and yet, so foolish who's there? He yelled, throwing the lantern's beam into the thick darkness, heart pounding in fear. They could almost feel it closing in, an unseen beast lurking, waiting to pounce. Leave now, the voice hissed, curling like smoke into their ears. Turn back, or you will join the others. What others? The girl's bravado broke, a quiver lacing her words. Where is Barbara? The laughter returned, a cruel symphony that danced between the branches. She is closer than you think. Without warning, a chilling wind whipped through the trees, sending a shiver down his spine. It carried with it the faintest echo of a scream, followed by a deep silence. The girl fell silent, grasping his arm with a grip as tight as iron. Did you hear that? She whispered, fear lacing her voice. Yes, he replied, the hairs on his neck standing on end. That distant cry haunted him, a tether to his own fading sanity. If they didn't find Barbara soon, we have to keep moving. They stumbled onward, but the path twisted and turned, disorienting them. The deeper they went, the heavier the air grew, thick with an unseen presence that clung to their skin like sweat. It was suffocating. The lantern's light shrank, flickering distractingly. What if we're walking in circles? The girl whispered, glancing back, dread painted across her face. That he shook his head, breath short. We can't stop now. She has to be here. With renewed purpose, they pressed forward. Just when the shadows felt like they might consume them, the path ahead opened into a small clearing. Moonlight streamed down, illuminating a cracked stone altar at the center, overgrown with moss and weeds. And on it, lay a familiar shawl. Barbara's. His heart dropped. That's her shawl. Barbara. The girl called, turning around. Hope surged momentarily, mingling with dread. In that instant, they heard a soft rustle behind them, but it wasn't just the wind. The soldier's gut twisted, adrenaline roaring in his veins. Stay close. He warned as the shadows thickened again, emerging into forms, eyes glaring from the dark and mouths twisted in silent screams. Run! He shouted, fear rooting him in place. They spun on their heels, hearts racing, but this time there was no turning back. The horrifying realization crashed down, they had stumbled into a trap set for them, yet, out from the shadows, a figure stepped forward. You shouldn't have come here now, you're part of the game. Ice ran through their veins. As a chilling echo of the earlier laughter surrounded them, the soldier felt the weight of complete despair. With nowhere to go, he turned to the girl, his heart pounding. We need to fight, but how? The figure grinned, advancing slowly, shadows writhing around them. You'll find out soon enough. The lantern flickered one last time before dimming, darkness closing in like a tightening noose. What awaited them now? A plaything in the hands of a monstrous game, or the chance to reclaim Barbara and finally escape? In that eerie silence, one question hung in the air like a noose: would they survive the night? The soldier felt the weight of hopelessness pressing down as the figure loomed closer, each step sending ripples of dread through him. The shadows around them swirled, hungry for fear, and every instinct screamed for him to run. But something kept him anchored, a fire igniting within him. He glanced at the girl beside him. Her face mirrored his fear, but beneath it flickered a spark of defiance. Together, he whispered, a vow unfurling between them. It had to be enough. As the figure advanced, the soldier ripped the old shawl from the altar, holding it up like a banner of bravery. You want us? Come and get us. The word sounded far braver than he felt, but he pushed that aside. They had little time. With a furious grip, they launched forward. The eerie laughter turned into shouts of fury from the shadows, rage spilling out like an angry tide. Barbara's shawl fluttered in the chilling wind around them, urging them on as they dashed into a side path leading deeper into the woods, leaving the relentless figure behind, for now, every step felt like a race against death itself, the ground shaking beneath them, shadows clawing at their heels. Where to? The girl gasped, her breath ragged, but determination fueled her every word. Anywhere but here, he replied, pushing on. In the distance, they spotted an unnatural glow peeking through the trees. The soldier's intuition was alive, that light could mean salvation or death, but they didn't have a choice. They ran toward it. As they neared the source, the flickering light enveloped them, warm and welcoming. To their amazement, they stumbled into a clearing housing a weathered stone well, light spilling from within like a beacon. An old, gnarled rope dangled from the edge. What is this place? I don't know, but it might be our only chance, the girl urged, her voice trembling yet unwavering. Barely thinking, he peered down into the darkness. Maybe if we can find something down there. Tools, weapons, or even a way to trap that thing. With a burst of courage, he grabbed the rope and started climbing down into the well's depths. The walls were damp and rough, but heat radiated from below, guiding him like a siren's call. The girl followed closely behind, both determined to find whatever it was they could use. The glow intensified as the soldier reached the bottom. There, shimmering in the darkness, was an array of old armor, weapons, and shields, trophies seemingly waiting for a worthy champion. Look! He exclaimed, excitement mingling with adrenaline. Together, they donned the gear, feeling its weight grant them newfound confidence. Do you think it'll work? She asked, adjusting the fit of a shoulder pad, glancing at him through the dim light, uncertainty etched in her features. It's all we have, he replied, his heart racing. We have to face the shadows. Time to end this. As they ascended back toward daylight, newfound resolve surged through them. Together, they climbed back out, emerging in the clearing. The shadows had receded slightly, it felt like a quiet before the storm. There's no running now, the soldier breathed, gazing into the darkness he sensed lurking. The girl gripped the axe tighter, nodding. Let us draw them out. We fight together. Suddenly, the wind howled ominously as the shadows gathered once more, an insatiable emptiness brewing. That husky laugh echoed ominously, reverberating off the trees around them, a twisted proclamation of their inevitable fate. You think you can defeat me? You do not know what you're fighting against. We'll fight for her. The soldier shouted back defiantly, looking toward the depths of the forest. We'll fight together. The shadows twisted into swirling forms, anger morphing into a sea of darkness. He could see their grotesque faces, twisting with fury as they surged. Hand in hand, the soldiers pushed forward, prepared to reclaim what was theirs. Stay close. He urged, the claws of panic back at the forefront. Together, they charged. As the encroaching shadows lunged, the soldier swung his weapon with all his might, the blade meeting cold air. Now! He cried, turning to the girl, who plunged the axe deep into the grasping shadows. With every strike, the power of their shared bravery ignited, pushing back against the darkness. The laughter turned to wails of fury as light from within glimmered brighter, radiating like fire. Together! He yelled again, summoning the strength of their bond. The shadows reeled under their combined force, dissipating into wisps of nothing. One last push, propelled by the memories of their shared resolve and hope, ignited anew. The grotesque figures lurked, silhouetted against the flickering light, and he knew their time was short. With one final cry, they surged forth, a united front against the malevolent force threatening to engulf them entirely. The shadows crumbled before them, unraveling into echoes of anguish, fading slowly into the night until silence enveloped the clearing. Breathless, the soldier stood in the dim light, glancing around to catch his breath. Did we do it? The girl nodded slowly, her hands trembling at her sides, still holding on to that axe with fierce determination. We saved each other, she replied, voice soft yet tangible, and at that moment, he understood the true battle had not just been against the darkness, but within. The forest had been alive, a manifestation of their fears and doubts. They had faced the darkness and emerged victoriously, still standing side by side, but as quiet enveloped them, his heart fell. What about Barbara? We have to find her. A slow, gut-wrenching realization dawned upon him. The light dimmed, and the shadows lingering still hinted at something more sinister that lay ahead. Let us find her, she said, shaking off the fear that lingered in the air. Together, they crossed back towards the fading echoes of the forest, searching for their friend whose fate remained uncertain. Behind them, lingering shadows murmured with silent rage, but together, they forged ahead, emboldened by the newfound courage that thrummed in their veins. Underneath the mounting pressure of their mission, hope shone through like a fragile ember, urging them forward. They owed it to Barbara, and to each other to stand firm against the darkness together. As they advanced into the deeper woods, ready to face whatever awaited them, he vowed. She would not be lost to the night. Not if they had anything to say about it. Time was running out, but they wouldn't back down now. The light of hope, flickering within, guided them on. Now more than ever there was no question they were in this together. They would face whatever challenges lay ahead, for the light of friendship burned brighter than any darkness that threatened to consume them whole. As they ventured deeper into the heart of the forest, the meaning of courage became clear. It was a choice, a bond, and a lifeline. The battle for Barbara was just beginning. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive parts of this heart-pounding tale. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about what'll happen next. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this turns out.